What would you do if the person you trusted most at work stabbed you in the back, thinking they could break you? For me, that moment came after 12 years of grinding, sweating, and building something I believed in. My name is Ethan Cole, and this is the story of how I turned betrayal into triumph. I started at Pinnacle Solutions as a wide-eyed junior analyst, fresh out of college with a cheap suit and big dreams. The company was a mid-sized marketing firm, buzzing with ambition but always teetering on the edge of chaos. My boss, Richard Vance, was the kind of leader who could charm a room and then micromanage you into misery. Still, I admired him. He saw potential in me, gave me projects that stretched my limits, and over time, I became his right hand. I worked late nights, weekends, even holidays, pouring my soul into campaigns that won clients and grew the company. 12 years later, I was the director of operations, the guy who kept the lights on. But success breeds envy, and loyalty, it turns out, is a one-way street for some. Richard started acting strange meetings behind closed doors, whispers with the board, sidelong glances at me. Then came the bombshell. One gray Tuesday, he called me into his office, his smile cold as steel. "Ethan," he said, "we're restructuring. Your pay's being cut by 30%. Times are tough." I stared at him, my stomach twisting. Tough times. We'd just landed a multi-million-dollar client. My team had delivered record profits. This wasn't economics, it was personal. I didn't quit. Quitting was what he wanted, what he expected. Instead, I went home, poured a whiskey, and started thinking. Over the years, I'd done more than just work for Pinnacle. I'd invested in it. Not just time, but money. Early on, when the company was struggling, I'd bought shares at a discount, a gesture of faith. Richard had laughed it off, called it pocket change. But I kept buying every bonus, every spare dollar. Quietly, methodically, I'd amassed a stake. By the time of the pay cut, I owned 25% of Pinnacle. Not enough to control it outright, but enough to make waves. I dug deeper. Nights became a blur of coffee and spreadsheets. I found irregularities, offshore accounts, padded expenses, deals funneled to Richard's cronies. He wasn't just sidelining me. He was bleeding the company dry, planning to sell it off and leave us all in the dust. My pay cut was his way of pushing me out before I could notice. Too bad for him. I was already 3 steps ahead. I rallied allies. Sarah, my deputy, had seen the same red flags. We looped in trusted colleagues, built a case, and took it to the board. Richard's face when I walked into that meeting, armed with evidence, was a picture I'll never forget. Shock, then fury, then defeat. The board didn't just fire him. They begged me to step up as interim CEO. I declined. I had bigger plans. Using my shares and some strategic loans, I negotiated a buyout. Pinnacle was mine, not just a corner office, but the whole damn building. The day I signed the papers, I stood at the window of what used to be Richard's office, looking out at the city skyline. It wasn't about revenge. It was about proving something to myself, that hard work, grit, and a little cunning could turn the tables on betrayal. Running Pinnacle hasn't been easy. The first year was a gauntlet, rebuilding trust, fixing Richard's messes, keeping clients from jumping ship. But we did it. The team I'd mentored stepped up. Sarah became COO, and together, we turned Pinnacle into something better, a place where loyalty isn't a trap, where people matter more than profits. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. Looking back, Richard's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. It woke me up, forced me to see the power I'd built over 12 years. He thought he could break me, but he didn't know I'd already laid the foundation to rise higher. Sometimes, the people who try to bury you end up handing you the shovel. So what's the lesson? Never underestimate the quiet guy in the cheap suit. He might just end up owning the room.